Hello everyone and welcome to another live expert interview. My name is Lucy Challenger and I'm the CEO of Polo Tweed, and I am joined today by the fabulous Kirstie Page, who is a professional nanny. And Kirstie, hi, how are you?
Hi Lucy, yeah, I'm Kirstie. I've been in the industry working in childcare for about 11 years now, so got a little bit of a variety of knowledge.
Fantastic. So tell everyone who's tuned in, how did most of us, not everyone, but most of us really enjoy being around children. I have a 4.5-year-old who keeps me on my toes, and people do love that energy that children bring and have. But what was it that about your journey through life that made you decide, actually, I want to do this professionally? Why did you decide to become a professional nanny?
That's a good question. So originally I went to university and I wanted to be a social worker. So I went to university, I did the whole social work. I followed a social worker and she had an untold amount of caseloads, and she couldn't see to them all because she just didn't have enough time. And anyone she did see to, it was like 10 minutes here and 5 minutes there. And it just kind of upset me a bit. And I just felt like, to be a social worker, in my eyes, I wanted to go there and really spend time with people and try and help them on a one-to-one basis, but they just can't do that. So my second year at university, I moved to childcare, which I loved because we learned about so many different theories. We did extra work, which I'd already done in more nurseries and more secondary schools and primary schools. I worked in a great family centre. So I really loved that. And then after university, I went to South Africa. And I worked in an orphanage, and that really opened my eyes. There was a lot of poverty, and actually I quite enjoyed the whole travelling aspect because South Africa is a stunning country. But then I come home and I needed money, so I got a job in a school. I worked as a one-to-one teacher for children with ADHD and autism, so that was really challenging. But my true dream was to be a nanny, which sounds strange to some, and I don't know if it's from watching Mary Poppins or maybe not Cinderella. But yeah, so I don't know, I just found that working in schools, it was just, it was good fun, but anything I did with the kids, they kind of went home and it may have been undone because, sometimes parents found it harder or situations were made hard for the kids. And whereas as a nanny, you kind of can really work with the children on such a personal basis, and you've got the parents with you, so you're normally on the same ball and you can, cover any issues and work on any issues, and it's really good to be a nanny. And so I went to America and I worked as a nanny for a year and I loved it. It was great.
That's amazing. And like you say, it's that sort of one-to-one or small group environment, if there's multiple children in a property, that gives you that connectivity and a really interesting perspective, as you mentioned, that you're working with the parents. So ultimately, you're typically on the same page. You might have different ideas about things, but then you sort of come together with one common goal, which is the children. So through your career, have you worked with a large range of ages, or have you particularly sort of focused and niched your area into one sort of certain age group?
I've probably worked with mainly under 13s. A lot of my nanny jobs have been a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, which isn't the normal for me. Not normally under 2s, just because I just haven't, but obviously I've worked them in nurseries, so I could work with 3-month-olds, and again, nurseries are different to a nannying job. But so quite actually a variety. I mean, I've worked with twins that are 8 years old. I've worked with, quite a variety. But normally 3 to 5 is kind of my little niche age. That's personally me.
They develop so quickly at that age. As I said, I've got a 4.5-year-old, and he every day it's new skills and language and physicality, and it's just so amazing to watch and to guide and inspire. But if someone's listening to this and thinking, okay, I really love children, I'd really love the idea of working with a nanny, what would be your sort of 3 top tips of someone entering the nanny world? What would you recommend?
I feel like if you're personally looking for a job or even looking for a nanny, not to rush into anything. I really feel like, especially because there's children involved, it needs to be something that suits everyone, to ask so many questions that, sometimes even if you're the nanny or the family, you might feel awkward asking. but I feel like if you don't ask the questions at the start, it could then end up an issue down the line because there was a lack of communication. So yeah, I really think asking the questions, and normally you feel like that, you know, the family feels right, if that makes sense. You get a little vibe and you think, oh yeah, this is a lovely family and will work well for me, which might not work for another nanny or for another family. So yeah, but I also think another top tip is to make friends. Once you do find that family, I really think that finding friends in that area, other nannies, is just so important, because you find out information about the area, about where the best local farm is to take the kids, or, you know, and it helps you, but also you can go on play dates with that nanny, and they might have children the same age, but also even if they don't, if you've got a 3-year-old and they've got an 8-year-old, it still can work, because actually the 3-year-old might love playing with that 8-year-old as like a big brother figure, you know, that they've never had, or a big cousin. So, and it's really nice to share your stories with that nanny and any concerns, because sometimes we do need to vent, and as a nanny, your family or your other friends might not understand. So
Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
really,
and
it's
the
really
last one.
oh, you've got another one, tell me. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
No, I like it.
No, the other one I was just going to say, just touching on communication again, is
Yeah.
just probably really important, just because you need to keep the parents updated, and everyone's kind of different. So I'd say some parents want you to update them with pictures continuously throughout the day, some want a diary written, but also communication just for skills, to, you know, share your concerns, because if your concerns aren't shared, both ways, with family and the children, not the children, the nanny, sorry, it can really lead to some problems. Just to be honest is definitely the key in my eyes.
Yeah, no, I think it's really profound what you're saying about, you know, making those connections outside of the immediate family, because
Yeah.
you know, it's not like any other job. You know, any other job, even in with childcare, teaching, nursery, you've got lots of parents, you've got lots of children, you know, in schools, lots of other colleagues, whereas nannying, you are often, not always, in the bigger households, as you know, you get multiple nannies and big staff
Yeah.
households, but in, you know, the sort of the more traditional family setup, you have one nanny, two, you know, the parents, and then you have the children, so it can be quite isolating. And actually having that connection outside, like you say, to talk to someone who understands, to, you know, share some advice, you know, and for contacts of the farm, the soft play, you know, wherever you need to go in the area, especially if it's like a live-in role, for example, and you don't know the area.
Yeah.
Really valuable. But I think something that's always struck me is that working as a nanny, you have to be very flexible, but you also, it's quite an intense job, because, you know, these children are your responsibility, which obviously goes without saying, but you become part of this family life. So how do you sort of balance that sort of intensity, that need to be flexible, and that, you know, what sort of things do you do to deal with that?
I think it's best to make sure you're energetic, that you're fun, because I feel like the more energetic and fun you are, the more fun you have. So not only are the kids happy, you're happy. So, you know, standing and watching them bounce on the trampoline is all well and good, keeping them safe, but actually just jump on the trampoline with them and run around with them, because, you know, they'll love it and they'll make a friend. You know, you can be like their big sister to them or their big brother, and you also are creating this great bond that, you know, the kids will love and respect you for, and come to you and want to play with you. And it just, yeah, it's great. And if you're creative, you know, trying to come up with different ideas, not just for the children, but for your own peace of mind, because, you know, new things make a better day, I feel. You obviously need to be a problem solver, because there can be a lot of different problems that arise. But I do think a lot of things that I've found is the more organised you are and the more you're one step ahead, especially working with the families and the children, you know, making sure their bag's done for the morning, making sure breakfast is even set up the night before, just little things that not only help the family but also help you, because it's just one less stress.
Yeah, no, that's really good advice. And so obviously you've worked with a lot of families over the years and worked with some lovely children, you know, is there anything that you could share with us that was really a profound memory, or a moment, or even a funny story, or an unusual situation? Is there anything you could share with the people tuned in that sort of sticks in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot most families I work with, we have our own little songs, or we have our own little special places, and that's really precious, and it stays as quite a tight memory. And even when the children say, like, can you put our favourite song on, you know, that's quite a little heart wrencher, if you like. But an interesting story was definitely when I was in South Africa and I was working in the orphanage, and this little dot come up to me and he wanted a cuddle. So I picked him up and I put him in my lap, and then the smell hit me and there'd been a sickness bug going around, and his poop had gone all over my favourite white linen trousers, which are no longer my favourite. And memories like that, when you're a nanny, you know, can actually make your day, because you just think, oh my goodness, like, you know, when the children go and takes a poop on the floor or wheeze on the floor, and you just think, oh my goodness. But actually in the end you just end up laughing, and that's why it's great to have that nanny contact, because you can just say, so the child poops on the floor today, that was great. And actually it just ends up funny, because they're children, they're learning, and you know, you're there to kind of guide them, and it doesn't always go to plan.
No, it certainly doesn't, and we've all been there as mums or nannies with all things from children. They create some very magical memories for us. But you know, on a serious note, you know, working, often we have people coming to us in the agency and saying, oh, you know, I'd love to be a nanny, I've looked after my own children, or I'd love to be a housekeeper, I like cleaning my own house. But as you and I both know, being a professional nanny or professional housekeeper is very different to looking after your own children or cleaning your own house. Because, you know, me as a mum has my way, my ideas, my belief system, the way I should discipline my child. So if you go into someone's house as a nanny, you're not there to enforce your opinions and your discipline and the way you think it should happen. You're there to work with that family and support them. But that's quite a fine line to tread. So how do you do that? What sort of approach do you take with that?
I think I just find out kind of what kind of discipline the family wants. Sometimes they don't want any. Sometimes they, you know, might use the timeout, so I'd carry that on. I think it's best to go open-minded, and I think it helps that I don't have my own children and that I have worked in a lot of different settings, and everything and everyone has been different. So you just kind of have to, you also do have to have some continuity throughout your career, really, because even just, you know, not being strict as such, but, you know, sticking, I think it's important to stick to what you say with the kids. As soon as you, and the same with parents, as soon as you say to a child, you know, and these open threats that people make, you know, it really drives me crazy. Like, if you don't do this, then I'm going to take this away.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no point saying it, because the child knows that that's not going to happen. So, you know, I understand it can be frustrating as a nanny or a parent, but I just think, you know, working as a team with the parents to see what their views are on what they want from their child is definitely 100% so important, but also sticking to whatever you say with the child, and also just being open with the parents, you know, and just saying to them, I've said little and, you know, isn't able to have a play date tonight because, you know, they was really rude and they actually hurt somebody else, and they need to understand they can't do that. And then I'm pretty sure, you know, as long as you have that open discussion with the parents and go forward with them, and otherwise if they don't know, they're not going to see that through either. So yeah, I think that's really important, because it is such a personal job. You know, you're in someone's home, you're looking after the most precious thing to them. It's their world, it's their child. But you're also around their loved ones, around their husbands, around their wives, around their dads. You know, you meet the whole family. So yeah.
Yes, you do meet the whole family. And as my mum, the grandmother, likes to also get involved in what the nanny does, and then that's another whole kettle of fish that we will not go into now, because my mum's probably listening. But you know, for people that want to enter the nanny world, do you think it's important that they have some kind of formal training, or have, you know, I mean, things like first aid, pediatric first aid, these sort of things that are really vital? But what's your thoughts on training and getting qualifications for them?
I definitely think the more you have, the better off you'll be, because it's silly things that, you know, you might not know about, and then they hit you one day. And like you say, being a nanny can be quite excluding, and, you know, you're on your own and this situation hits you and you don't know what to do. Whereas the more training you have, the better prepared you are for any situation, and you can transfer the skills you learn into your daily job. I mean, I don't understand why people wouldn't want to, and it looks great. I mean, if you keep your CV updated, whereas if someone says to you, oh, what have you been doing? You know, oh, I went to university 10 years ago. What have you done since then? Oh, nothing.
Yeah, no, it's exactly, and it's a sign that you're investing in your own career, your own education, and things change, right? I mean, the way our mums well, you're younger than me, but you know, the way our mums brought us up is different to how we bring our children up, and our children will bring their children up. I mean, it's not radically different, but things have moved on. We have a better understanding of children's milestones and learning developments and regressions and sleep patterns and all of this. So the more you can educate yourself and learn about this stuff, the more you become better at what you do, which is, you know, caring for children. And it's really interesting talking about training, because we have a lot of nannies coming to us for transferable skills. So things like house management training, housekeeping training, not because the nanny's doing loads of housekeeping, but it's just because they want to do better laundry for the kids, or, you know, be more efficient in their skills. I mean, we even have one nanny learn about silver service because she wanted to be able to host beautiful dinner parties and surprise principals every now and then. So, I mean, you know, we don't train nanny skills per se. There's lots of awesome training providers out there for specific nanny duties, but more and more people come to us because they want to expand their horizons. You know, it's not just a child skill, it's about all these different skills you can have.
I definitely think they all link in though. You know, if you're in someone's home, then you might need to learn how to silver service, or, you know, to help out when they have parties and stuff. And actually, some people get quite nervous. You know, they're used to working with children, but they're not used to working with adults. So actually, you know, for someone, they might think, I don't want to help out with that party, but they don't want to say no to, you know, their bosses. So having that extra bit of training, you know, how to hold something, or how to, you know, silly things that actually they might not know, but they'll learn on the courses, would definitely help them out.
Yeah, it's even like etiquette, you know, how to open the door, how to answer the telephone. These are all things we teach that, you know, as a nanny, you're having to deal with, right? You're having to answer the door, you're having to pick up the phone when the parents are out, and what do you do? How do you say, what, you know, what should you approach it to have that professional, you know, approach to the work.
Yeah, and I think if you impress the people around them, then actually you impress your bosses as well. You know, if you open the door rudely and somebody says, oh, who's that girl? You know, she was ever so rude. And then your boss thinks, oh, how embarrassing. And, you know, that's a kind of another strike against your name. Whereas if you know how to answer the door and you're extra polite, you know, that might be another little star against your name.
Exactly. And that's it. I think, you know, as you know, working in the domestic industry, you represent the family you work for. So yes, it might be a small household and you might be the only member of staff in there, but you represent them. So like you say, if you open the door rudely, that's going to come back to the parents. They're going to think, well, if she's like that with our friends when we're not there, what's she like when we're not there, you know? So, you know, that all has a big impact. And you know, at the moment we're in this bizarre world pandemic. The world's sort of, you know, almost had the pause button pressed, and you know, because of that, we've been doing a lot more online, and our e-learning platform launched. But of course, now nannies around the world can access, of course we've always had the internet, well, not always, but you know, in our careers, and now they can access e-learning, they can access training from other countries. Do you think that's a good way for nannies to get information?
Definitely. And I feel like because probably they haven't got enough time to travel and do courses, that online is probably the best way to do it. And I'm assuming, you know, it will be flexible to the nanny. So, you know, they could pick it up whenever they wanted, or they could learn extra whenever they wanted. And actually it would probably inspire them to learn more, because once you kind of get a feel for something and it looks good on your CV, you think, oh, I want to do something else. So yeah, I definitely think it sells you as a person if you know more, and it actually does you a favour, because, you know, it might help you on your day-to-day job.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, Kirstie, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today, because I mean, I love talking about children. I have one, so I'm passionate about children, and I really love, you know, working with nannies like yourself that provide this amazing support for families. I mean, I literally wouldn't be able to work if I didn't have a nanny, because, you know, I work full time. So, you know, you allow working mums to go back to work. You allow families that just want to have a good routine to, you know, survive and give this amazing support to children, you know, growing up through their years. So it's been, I could talk to you all day about this, but it's been so lovely to speak with you today. Now, for everyone listening who might want to, you know, speak to Kirstie if they want to get information from her, you know, anything they need, they can come to Polo and Tweed, of course, and Polo and Tweed will connect you directly, be it if you need some advice, if you just, if another nanny wants to have a chat with her, or, you know, anything like that, you can come and, of course, reach out to her that way. But it's been such a fab time to speak with you.
Thank you, Lucy. That was amazing. It was really nice to cover all subjects.
Brilliant. Thank you. Have a lovely day.
Take care. Bye now.